Maureen Redfern. What kind of measures has David Miscavige taken to prevent a coup? I don't understand why somebody hasn't moved in and taken him off the COB platform. If he were running any other corporation, he would have been ousted long before now, especially with the bad press and all of the leaked information. I understand there is no board that he is the chairman of, so there's really no vote or any of the normal stopgap measures to move him along, but there are a lot of people working under him. It seems as though it would be easy to have a mutiny. He's clearly suppressive, as described by Hubbard. It just seems to me if I were a Scientologist, I might think about taking over, even just to try and save the organization from this freefall it's in now. Thoughts? Well, Maureen, in almost any other group except a destructive cult, I would tend to agree with you. I don't know that you fully appreciate, based on the question alone, the level of indoctrination or mind control or undue influence, or however you want to put it, that exists at the upper levels of the Sea Organization and of Scientology. As I mentioned in my earlier question, the Sea Organization is sort of the glue that holds the whole thing together, and David Miscavige is the commanding officer. So a mutiny is not necessarily something that would be really super easy to arrange. You would have to have a number of people involved. If one person tried it, and individuals have stood up to David Miscavige before and gotten knocked down very quickly because the group around David Miscavige are intensely loyal to him, despite any reasons you might think that they shouldn't be or wouldn't be, they are. And there's a security force that exists at the Gold Base, at the Flagland Base in Florida, at the base in Los Angeles, and those security guys take their jobs very seriously, and they are loyal to a fault to David Miscavige. And they don't know all the things that you guys know, right? The security guys in PAC, at the Pacific Base in Los Angeles, they don't know what goes on at the international base. They don't know about the beatings and the torture and the nonsense that Miscavige has put people through there. So if some of them got called for some reason, if there was a situation and Miscavige needed a force of people to back him up for some reason, he would have the security guys at the Gold Base, he would have the security guys at the PAC base, or he could take off to Florida and he'd have that whole group of people. And the Sea Org in general don't know all the things that we know out here in the big wide world because we have full access to the internet. They don't. So they don't know about all of this stuff, and they will therefore be loyal to David Miscavige because they honestly think that he is the guy who is leading Scientology into a brilliant future of expansion and glory for planet Earth. That's why they're there. And that's why they listen to him at all. So that adoration that they feel, and fear, I mean, it's both. It's a mixture. It's a complicated kind of thing. He doesn't, when David Miscavige leaves his inner circle area, or leaves the Gold Base where he's got people, locked up and the hole and all that stuff, or had all that. I mean, I don't know what the current situation is, but when everything that happens on Gold Base stays on Gold Base. No one who comes out of the Gold Base talks about it at all. I spent years in very close quarters with people who had been banished from the Gold Base and sent to the RPF. When I was on the RPF, none of them ever breathed nary a word about the abusive conditions that were going on there. The other aspect of this, to speak to the mind control, is that L. Ron Hubbard set up a series of beliefs within Scientology that if you're critical of the organization or fault finding or you think something's up that's not right, it's on you. You're only looking at it that way because you've committed moral transgressions, what are called overts in Scientology. And those overts blind you to the truth and make it seem like you should be critical and you should be, carping or finding fault with what's going on. But the only reason you'd be doing that is because of those transgressions. And so in their heads, Scientologists will see something off or wrong, but then the cognitive dissonance of this information from L. Ron Hubbard will make them turn their critical eye back on them. And they don't turn it on David Miscavige or L. Ron Hubbard or the organization as a whole, because they're taught not to. So those are some of the factors you're dealing with when you're looking at putting together some kind of a mutiny against Miscavige. You know, you'd have to be operating at a level that is just below or within his inner circle. These people are checked over intensively on that e-meter, asked questions all the time of a very invasive nature about their intentions and ideas about David Miscavige specifically. And they believe that the e-meter works. Again, this is all a prison of belief. They think the e-meter works, therefore, as far as they're concerned, it does work. So when the auditor or the person who's running the e-meter looks at them and asks them a question, you know, do you have some evil intention toward David Miscavige? And if the meter responds and they look at the guy and they're going to go, well, what's the evil intention towards David Miscavige? And that person's not getting out of that room until they cough what their evil intention is towards David Miscavige, and then how they have acted on that evil intention to try to undo his good work. See, this is the kind of actual, the control that goes on in order to keep people in line. So between the security forces and the peer pressure, because it's not just security that is loyal to Miscavige, it's almost all of the Sea Org is, and the control mechanisms that are in place to keep him there, it is a difficult task. It would take a tremendous force of will to overcome that, and then collude with others to get, into a place where you could assert control. And the last thing I'll say on this, of course, is that because David Miscavige did this himself back in the 80s, he is absolutely paranoid about anybody doing it to him, and has set up perhaps other safeguards I don't even know about in order to keep himself protected from any possibility of being, of a coup d'etat, so to speak, happening. So there you go.